if you want to hang out with me, come hang out with me. Happy Valentine's Day. If there's anyone out there listening, and just gonna hang out while I work. If someone comes in, wants me to talk about something, let's talk. Right now, I am watching Elon Musk's press interview again. The one where he looks like a Bond villain, where he's all black in the Oval Office. And yeah, so happy Valentine's Day. I was thinking about Valentine's Day today, and it's kind of crazy that someone just basically came up with a holiday to sell chocolates and candy. Like, that's crazy. And especially right now in this economy, I just feel like guys have to do everything on Valentine's Day, and they don't have to, and girls don't have to do anything. They don't have any pressure to go get chocolates or anything, flowers, and all. Like the flowers, they go bad after a few days. So in a way, you're just throwing money away. And yeah, I'm like, how do people come up with these holidays? Just imagine being back in the day. You could just come up with a holiday and get people to do things like, I don't know, balloon day, and like everyone has to go out now and buy balloons, and everyone starts comparing their balloons to the other person's balloons. Like, that's insane. You can just make up a holiday and then get people to buy stuff. And I was walking in like CVS the other day, and I saw all the Valentine's Day stuff, and I was thinking to myself, the day after Valentine's, all that stuff goes on sale for like 2 3 days, and after that, it just gets tossed in the trash. Like, that's insane. You just boop boop into the trash. St. Patty's Day, all those leprechauns, boop boop in the trash right after. Like all the holidays. Was it Mardi Gras? All the beads. Next day, boop boop in the trash. Michaels, they do the grab boxes where they just like take the whole shelf and they just throw into a box, and then they, right after the holiday, whatever, Valentine's Day, Easter, they just put everything into a box and try to sell it for $5. And it's kind of fun. I've done it a few times where you just, after you get the box, you open it and you kind of see what you get. And I I remember one year we did I think it's the Christmas one, and we got Christmas stuff, like random Christmas stuff, and we got a black Santa Claus, and we're like, what are we gonna do with this? Well, we're gonna try to sell it, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I still have that black Santa somewhere. Can't find it now, but and this Christmas, I go into all the stores and I see, and near the end of Christmas, and I see like black Santas everywhere. And I was thinking to myself, they need to stop making the colored Santa because nobody's buying them. Like, all the trash that gets made for all these holidays, like Valentine's Day, Easter, all that stuff just ends up in the trash the day after. That's like, why? Anyways, happy Valentine's Day again. Um, I wonder what's like the most interesting thing you've ever done on Valentine's Day for your partner. I remember one year, she was away, but she was coming back, and I had a few hours. So I decided I wanted to do the, like in those rom-com movies where they kind of like have the candles all over the room and it looks so romantic. You got the flower petals on the bed and all over, and then you light the whole. You got candles everywhere. So I'm like, oh, you know what? That's a great idea. I'll do that. She'll get off work, and I'll go to her place, and I'll just put candles everywhere. I'm like, okay, so I need about like 200 or 300 candles. So I go to IKEA and I see all their like those little tea candles. So I get like 4 or 5 packs of those. And then they had like bigger candles, and I got some of those. And then they had those stick candles, and I got some of those. Basically, if they had a candle, I got it. So I got a whole shopping cart of candles. And I check out, and I'm like, this is gonna be great. And then I get home, I get to her place, and I start like arranging the place with the candles. And then I put the flower petals everywhere, and I start putting the candles everywhere. And you got to time it right because if you light the candles ahead of time, they're gonna go out before she gets home. So I like waited, maybe like, and try to figure out when she's getting home. Maybe 10 minutes before she gets home, I'm gonna start lighting all the candles. And I'm like, okay, all right. And I find out the time that she's getting home. And this is before everyone's got those like trackers everywhere. Nowadays, you can track anybody with their phone apps, but this is before that. So I'm like, okay. She texted me. She said, "Oh, I'll be home soon." So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start lighting up the candles, and I light them all up. And in the movies or TV shows or whatever, it looks pretty romantic, and it looked cool. But I think what they don't tell you is that when you light up like 200 candles in a room or anywhere, it gets super hot. Like it's crazy. It was like being in an oven. So she gets home and she comes in and she's like, "Oh, it looks nice and everything." Like, and she was so happy. But they don't tell you, or you can't feel it on the TV shows. When you light up 200 candles in a room, it's an oven in there. And so imagine you're trying to get all busy, but the place is an oven. And it was the most uncomfortable time ever. At one point, we were like, you got to blow out all the candles. It's insane. So that's a tip for you guys. If you guys ever do the candle thing, don't get 200 candles. Just get enough. Yeah. Well, I don't know. What's a crazy thing you guys have done for Valentine's Day? I think another time I folded a bunch of origami like hearts, and on each one I wrote a message. That was very tedious. I was just sitting there, folding little hearts, writing "I love yous," and it kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier, where at the end I used probably like half a ream of paper, and you just toss it in the trash. In the trash it goes. See, well, anyways, I'm rewatching the Elon Musk's press conference where the one that everyone's talking about, where he looks like he's the president and Trump's just sitting there, and it's pretty interesting to see the dynamic that's going on here. And he's got his kid. There's that clip that's going around right now where the kid's like, "You're not the president," or something. So I'm trying to find that to see if that's really what he said. And I think there's another part where he's like, "Yeah, shut your mouth," or something like that to Trump. So I'm trying to find that. Gosh, he looks like such a villain in this, though. That's pretty funny. Yeah, what else is going on in the world? I was watching the Lakers game the other day, and it got me thinking about the trade again. And it's kind of funny how the Lakers trade for Luca, and AD gets injured the game after. Like, that's insane. He just gets injured, and he was on his way to like a monster day. I don't know. Is that like planned? Like you trade for Fat Luca and AD gets injured the next day? That's insane. What else is going on? Oh, there's lots of rain right now in California, so all those burnt houses, that burnt area is mudslide territory. That's that's insane. What else is on the news? Oh, there's like this interesting story that I kind of wanted to address. There's this guy, he's a serial swatter. I guess that's his thing. Like he is like a 17-year-old kid, and if you give him money, he will swat people. He'll call in threats and emergencies and whatnot. Like that's really crazy. Like it says here that if you pay him $70, he'll call a school and call in a bomb threat. And he's got this is the best part. He's got like a loyalty program where if you use his services again, he'll knock off like $20. So and over the time he has done about 300 of these calls. Like he'll call anybody to do a threat. Like if you trying to get out of work today and you just don't want to go to work or you don't want to go to school, you have a finals or a test or whatever, you can contact this kid and he will call the school and say he's coming and he's just gonna go on a rampage on the school or wherever, the workplace, and they have to close down the school for these threats. Like that's crazy. Imagine that's your side hustle. Like you're out and about and then you're talking to your friends and they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" "I'm a professional swatter. That's my thing. If you need the police to show up to a place, contact me and I'll call it a threat." Like that's an insane. Like how do you come up with that? But anyways, he got arrested. So we'll see how that story pans out. Apparently his own house got swatted, or he called the SWAT team to his own house. Like that's even more funny. And then his family's like, I did you do this to our house? And he's like, "No, not me." And they're like, "Isn't this what you do?" And he's like, "Yeah, but this one's not me, guys." It This got me thinking about I remember one time I had a finals in high school and I really didn't want to take I like didn't want to I just couldn't study for it. I was just having a bad time. And I just like prayed that something would happen to cancel school. And I ended up taking the finals, but those tests. But a few like days or maybe 2 3 weeks afterwards, someone did bring a weapon onto school, and we had to close the school. Apparently, like a week before, a kid got into a car accident, and he's like a high school football player, and he's with his girlfriend. And our school had when you go up the hill, it has a red light and then a sharp left turn. And so he's in his big like raised truck. Like all the white kids had those trucks when I was growing up. And he was in his white truck, his big truck that was raised, and he makes a sharp left turn and he was speeding and his truck flips over and the kid is not around anymore. His girlfriend, she had her legs on the dash, and as when the car flipped over, I guess it crushed her leg or I forget, but basically she lost a leg, right? And then so he's a football player, she's football player's girlfriend. I don't know, I'm not like friends with them. I just remember them. And this other kid, I guess they had some kind of beef, or the football player was bullying him. So after that car accident, he was in line at lunch and he was like, "Oh, good." Or he said something like he was just basically glad that that guy is not around anymore after that car accident. We had a service and everything at the school. And then so some of the football players' friends heard him say that and they were like, "That's messed up." And they were just threatening to beat him up and everything. Or they did beat him up. I forget about that part. And so the next day, he brings a weapon to school. I think of, I'm not sure, I forget what kind, but he brings you know, to school, and I guess he made the mistake of showing his friend, and he showed his friend what he was gonna do to those kids, and his friend told the school or the principal, and they came and they got him. And I remember I was in class, and like helicopters came and all kinds of people came to arrest his kid for bringing a weapon onto campus like that. And when they got him, that they found all kinds of stuff. So in another universe, I could have been on the news, or my school would have been on the news. Who knows what would have happened? I mean, I think he just had a little handheld one, so there aren't that many bullets, right? And I don't know, it would have been that crazy because like these days when the shooters come, they have the full on automatics. So, but yeah, it got me thinking about that. The squatter guy got me thinking about that kid that brought the weapon to school and tried to basically take out the football team. Well, this took a weird turn. Let's go back to Valentine's Day. Are you guys getting anything for Valentine's Day for your girls? I just I feel like in this economy, it's irresponsible. Like the prices of stuff are so high now. It's like when you get a box of chocolates or whatever, you're like, ugh, you're really feeling the pain. Why? Why? I feel like until prices get under control, they should just cancel all these holidays. Imagine Easter. Easter's coming up, and we have like an egg shortage. Like, oh, this is an interesting thing. Growing up, we always did the plastic eggs, but I guess other families they do real eggs. Like they they decorate like real eggs and they hide them too. And of course, there's nothing inside, but like that's a thing where that's something you guys do. Like I've never done that before. But yeah, I've met a bunch of families where they actually use real eggs and they hide real eggs out there. Yeah, that's what I do. I we just No, we just decorate them and hide the plastic? Okay. No, I met a family, or maybe 2 families that decorate the real eggs and they hide them out there, and I think that's where you get the idea of, like, "Oh, there's rotten eggs in your backyard because there's some egg that nobody found," right? Am I crazy? No one else does this? I don't know, I thought they were crazy. I don't know, I thought they when I heard them doing that, I was like, "Really? You guys?" Because like, I'm Asian, we don't waste money like that, and I feel like, especially in this economy, you gotta go full on, like, immigration mode. Like, pretend you're, like, first generation immigrants now at this point, where you're, like, saving plastic bags from the grocery store. Not even the plastic bags you pay for, talking about the plastic bags that you get from the vegetables. Like, I saw an Asian lady the other day, and instead of paying for the plastic bags, the 10 cents or whatever, she'll get like a full roll of from the vegetable section, and she'll start bagging everything with those vegetable bags. And it's like, I was thinking, like, dang, if you do that every time, you would save like, I don't know, 50, 40 cents. But if you do that enough times, I guess you could save yourself a full on dollar or two. But I hate the plastic bags now where it's made of that recycled material, and it just like melts inside your hand like the lightest. Just the heat from your hand melts it. It's like onto onto the floor. Um, but whoever created that, genius, genius. I met this is a while back. I met a family, and they are either close to billionaires or they are billionaires. I forget. And I remember asking the guy, like, "Oh, how did you guys? How did how did you get? How did you do this? Like, And he was one of the original guys that sold plastic bags to all the grocery stores. So if you had a plastic bag back in the day, it was paper bags, but he was the one that got them to do plastic. And so he provided plastic bags to everybody. I guess he's the bag king. And I was thinking, like, it's so hard to do that now. I was talking to some kids the other day, and they're like, everything that's invented has already been invented. And I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, back in the day, you can just come up with the easiest thing and become a billionaire or multi millionaire. Now it's like you got to go to Mars and get back. It's like impossible now. I don't know, to become a billionaire from scratch. But back then, it's like, oh, I invented the scissors. Two sharp knives together, they cut. Now I'm a billionaire. Like, it's impossible now. This is the other thing I found that was super interesting. And I was talking to my mother-in-law about, but did you know that Hawaii was added to America in 1940? I think it's 1948. So if someone is 65 and above, they were born or experienced in America that did not have 50 states. So that's pretty interesting to me because that's pretty recent. Like, it's in someone's lifetime, right? That's living right now. that America did not have all 50 states that we have now that we know. And it kind of circles back to, like United States possibly adding Greenland. I mean, it's in the works. I know the Dutch are like, no, it's not for sale. But like, it's not that crazy because I guess in the past we've offered to buy Greenland before. They kept saying no. But it's pretty recent that we added Hawaii. And if you just go back a little bit, just a few more years from that, or maybe a few years forward, I forget. But we just added Alaska too. So if someone's like 80 or something that they lived or know in America, they'd only had 48 states. So adding another state is actually not that crazy. I think what's also interesting is that I looked it up real quick. They bought Alaska from Russia for like 10 million and during that time. And I think if you fast forward, it's like 50 million or something in today's money. But they got Alaska for like pennies, basically. Now, this is before they found gold in Alaska, though. It was just like empty land that Russia had, and they were like, "What are we gonna do with this?" So who knows? Maybe they will one day add Greenland. I think this is the second time I've talked about that. How did we get here? I think that's just what's on my brain lately about because he keeps talking. Trump keeps talking about trying to get some land. He wants to get. I think he's trying to secure his legacy that like, oh, that's Trump land. So either or, we can get Canada, Mexico, Panama, or Greenland, and we'll just rename it or something. Ooh, shout out from Texas. I know. I'm sorry, I just saw your message, but when I'm thinking about Texas, what comes to mind is one, Joe Rogan's over there, and he's trying to bring all the podcasters over there. And during this time, it starts getting snow and rain in Texas. And I remember talking to my friends that they're in there that no one seems to know how to drive in the snow or rain over there, which I feel like you should be used to now if you're actually from Texas. Oh, speaking of podcasters, I was thinking about this. You still have my sweater? What? I don't. What? I don't have your sweater. Um. Oh my gosh. Do you think all Asians look alike? When I'm thinking about Texas, though, and I'm thinking about podcasters now, and what comes to mind is all these ad reads that the podcasters do. Like the popular one right now is what I think every single podcaster I listen to, they do the ad read for like Blue Chew, and I'm like, and they're all younger, right? And I'm like, do you guys really have that problem? I feel like if you're pushing out a product, you need to be using it. Like, I want to see them. I don't know. I want to see them, but I want to like know for sure that they're using these products. Like, if you're pushing Blue Chew, you better be popping Blue Chews like all the time. And I just want proof that you're doing these products because, like, the other day I was also listening to another podcast. I was listening to a Bobby Lee one, and I think it's he's got two. He's got Bad Friends and he's got Tiger Belly. And on the Tiger Belly one, he was doing ad reads for Prize Picks, and you can just tell he's never ever used it before because he's doing the ad read, and then they're asking him for picks, and he's like, he doesn't know any. I don't know if he's doing it for fun to be funny, but he doesn't know the names of any of the players, and he's just like more or less, yes, like up down, and I'm like, he's never used Prize Picks before. You can tell, but he's doing an ad read for it, and I use I use it, like, Price Picks. If you're out there and if you're listening, come find me. I can give you the picks. Well, actually, maybe that's what they want. Maybe they don't want people that know how to actually operate those apps to do the ad reads. And so, because if you actually did know how to do it and make consistent money on like Price Picks or whatever, then they would lose so much money. But you find these guys that don't know anything about it and they do the ad reads and they give out picks and people just lose and they make extra money. Maybe that's the idea. But yeah, they need to stop. Like, I want to see if you're doing an ad read, I need to see it. All right, that's enough today. Thanks for listening. If you're out there, have a great Valentine's Day. Bye.